What would you do if you saw someone staring at you, but they had no face? It sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly what happened to Ryan Carter, a 27-year-old software engineer, on October 14th, 2019. The night he took a wrong turn on his way home. It started with a glance, a feeling. You know the kind, the cold sensation of someone watching you. Ryan was driving alone on a deserted back road in a small Canadian village. The sky pitch black, with only the moon barely peeking through thick clouds. The trees on either side of the road were endless shadows, stretching like clawed hands into the night. Then, he saw it. A figure standing on the side of the road, still, motionless, too still. Ryan's foot hesitated on the brake. At first, he thought it was a hitchhiker. Maybe someone needed help. But as he got closer, something felt off. His headlights illuminated the figure, and his stomach twisted into a knot. It had no face, no eyes, no nose, no mouth, just smooth, pale skin where a face should be. Ryan's heart pounded against his ribs. His hands tightened around the steering wheel. His brain screamed, "Drive!" Zrenia, but his body refused to move. He couldn't tear his eyes away from the faceless thing standing under the flickering streetlight. Then, it moved. Not like a normal person, not like a human. Its head twitched sideways, unnaturally fast. Ryan gasped and slammed his foot on the gas. His tires screeched against the pavement as he sped away, his breath coming in rapid, uneven gulps. The car roared forward, the streetlight disappearing behind him. For a moment, he felt relief. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe his mind played tricks on him. But then his rearview mirror caught movement. The figure was now standing in the middle of the road behind him. Ryan didn't stop driving. Not for a second. He kept going until he saw the first sign of life. A lonely gas station at the edge of town. He pulled in so fast the car nearly skidded. The fluorescent lights flickered. The place looked half abandoned. But Ryan didn't care. He stumbled out of the car, sucking in deep, shaky breaths. The attendant, a tired-looking old man, glanced up from behind the counter as Ryan burst through the doors. "You all right, kid?" Ryan hesitated. How could he explain what he saw? No one would believe him. He barely believed it himself. There was someone back there. The old man squinted. "You sure?" Ryan turned to look outside. His car sat under the harsh gas station lights, the empty road stretching into the night. No sign of anyone. He exhaled, shaking his head. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe his mind played tricks on him. He grabbed a bottle of water, paid for it, and walked back to his car. And then he stopped. His driver's side door was unlocked. Hadn't he locked it? He was sure he had. His stomach dropped as a creeping sense of dread crawled up his spine. Slowly, he reached out and opened the door. The car's interior light flickered on. He peered inside. Empty. But the back seat was darker than it should be, like a shadow that didn't belong. His breath caught. Something was sitting behind the driver's seat. He could barely make it out, but it was there. A shape, a figure. And then it leaned forward, right next to his ear. A whisper, a breath, a sound so quiet it barely existed. "You saw me," Ryan screamed. He didn't remember driving home. Only the feeling of absolute terror. The faceless thing had been in his car, right behind him. Yet when he blinked, when he gasped for air, it was gone. But the fear didn't leave. Ryan locked every door, checked the windows, closed the curtains, but the feeling never left. That night, as he lay in bed, his body exhausted but his mind wide awake, something scratched against the window. A slow, deliberate drag of fingernails on glass. He froze. His room was on the second floor. Slowly, painfully slowly, he turned his head toward the window. The faceless figure was outside, its blank head pressed against the glass. The next morning, Ryan was gone. His friends came looking for him. His boss called. His landlord checked his apartment, but Ryan Carter had vanished without a trace. The only thing left behind was his car, still parked outside, and his phone, lying on his bed, the screen unlocked. The last thing he had searched before disappearing. What happens if you see a faceless person? And here's where it gets strange. Ryan wasn't the first. People across different towns, different years had seen the faceless stranger. The stories were eerily similar. A figure standing by the road, a whisper in the dark, and then they disappeared. Some say if you see it,